So, good morning, everyone. This is our bi-monthly board and officers call, alternating, of course, with the community calls every other month. I think this one is going to be a short meeting. There isn't really many topics to discuss. Here is the agenda. The first part is the regular section update, membership trends, financial, some the robotics expenses, etc. Then we have the next section, which is going to be the subcommittee updates, the activities. I don't have many slides for those. It's going to be updates, mostly verbal updates from the leads, and have a kind of an open discussion to bring everybody up to speed. Then spend the next 10 minutes or so for the upcoming events and close out. And I think we're going to have time. If anybody has any topic that I have missed, anything that we would like to discuss as a group, at the end, I think we will have time to do that. Okay, so here are the regular graphs, the statistics, as of the end of March. I think the most useful graphs are the two on the bottom, middle and right, that show the green bars here, because they show the comparison with the 2023 numbers. So as you can see, we're slightly ahead compared to 2023, even though this here shows a drop. It's not a fair comparison because it compares numbers up to the end of March with the end of the year numbers for 2023. So this is not really true representative, but these numbers here suggest that we are fine in terms of membership, at least. This graph, I think, is useful because it shows conversion of students to professional members. So we have about 20 people. Now, I'm not sure if this is cumulative or if it is monthly. I have to confirm that. But 20 has to be cumulative, because if we have 500 student members, couldn't be that half of them graduate. If we had 20 every month, it would be 200, 250 a year, which is half of this number here. But cumulatively, if it is cumulatively, it's going to end up close to 100, which is more representative, 1/5 of this. And this graph on the bottom left shows, how we're distributed across the subsegments in the industry. And service typically has been the biggest section. However, I was looking at it yesterday, and I was encouraged to see that we have many people from operating companies, independent, majors, nationals, etc. And there is no separate category here for contractors. I'm not sure where the contractors would fall here. It has to be one of the other categories. Maybe service. I'm not sure. Have to get the numbers more detailed. It's important to have the contractors specifically in with the DWIS work, etc. And as you will see later in the update, we do have some participation, even though it's not spelled out here in this graph. Okay, so this graph here shows the geographic distribution, and not much has changed here, really. The two biggest sections are Middle East and Gulf Coast. Africa, as we show, now we have a chair in Africa. North Sea with Europe section, Serafima and Eric. So good distribution overall, even though half of the members are 3 sections, and the graph below is by country. So not much change from month to month in these two graphs, just monitoring here, for the distribution of the membership. That will guide what activities, what universities we have, for example, for the robotics, and we need to support those upcoming new sections, let's say, the younger sections. So that's pretty much it for the membership. Held steady, I would say, maybe slight improvement following the general trend for SPE, nothing outstanding really for DSATS specifically. Next is the financial update. I think Robert must be here. Yeah. Good morning, Robert. So please walk us through this, please.
Yes, good morning, everyone. This is from the last meeting with the officers here, February 8th to April 11th. We had two silver sponsors for the symposium, Weatherford and NOV, and we had some expenses related to Drillbotics for having the booth at the symposium. Expenses for DWIZ for website. But I also want to bring to the attention that our DWIZ account is now under a $500 threshold, and we have a reoccurring $10 a month fee from Wells Fargo. And so if we could get that above $500, that fee would go away. And then we had some website maintenance for the roadmap website. Let's see. So all in all, we had a minimum change in our account balances of $2, but we have some large commitments around Drillbotics to go. So just highlight the need to get the sponsorships for Drillbotics going forward. Two other notes. I don't have visibility yet for the symposium as far as the SPE to DSATS bank account reconciliation. We could still owe money to SPE since we collected the sponsorships through our website. And the other discussion point of interest is John brought up the idea to take our cash and put it in an interest-bearing account. And so I started looking into options for interest-bearing accounts. Unfortunately, for business accounts, there doesn't seem to be very easy options. So I looked at Wells Fargo and other leading banks as far as savings and what we could invest in, and haven't found anything that doesn't yield more than 0.01%. So then the options that yield 4 or 5% are more risky, I guess. Maybe not risky in the grand scheme of things, but relative to a savings account at Wells Fargo. So if there's any ideas, please let me know, and we can investigate further. And then,
the question,
yeah, go ahead.
For the symposium, we collected the sponsorship directly, but SP was collecting the tickets, the registrations. So hopefully that covers the expenses, but we don't have the final numbers.
Sorry, this is Austin. I was going to jump in. We definitely should not owe them any money, and we should be getting something back.
Okay.
I can follow up.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, this is Greg.
Go ahead.
I was just going to chime in as well. So I'm still waiting on the information from the event staff, the numbers and the ticket sales and the catering charges. So once I have that information, Austin, I'll get with you and we can work that out. But I agree. I think you'll be getting money back. I think there'll be a surplus after everything's said and done. So I can't guarantee that, but it's looking, I would think it would be. So, but as soon as I get that information from the event staff, I'll get with Austin.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Austin. So just one more comment here before we leave. That expense, the $96.50 for the travel entertainment, that's something that we need to get approval by vote from the board and officers. And Edgar will set up a poll and just keep an eye. And your email is going to come up, and then please go in and submit your vote. For the newcomers, it's pretty straightforward. It's a poll, essentially, on the website. As long as you are registered, you will be able to vote. And remember, we need 75% of the total number. So with the new additions, I think we're going to be about 27, 28 people. So 75%, we need 21 votes before we go forward with that. Just a note. Anything else here on the financial side, Robert?
Yeah, I would just like to thank John McPherson. He's working really hard to
Yes.
free up the PayPal account, and I know it's not easy because I heard all the horror stories from Robert Estes in the past too, and I couldn't get it done myself.
The latest on that is that Wells Fargo needs to get some documentation from Ed Tovar. No, not Wells Fargo, I'm sorry, PayPal needs some documentation from Ed in order to remove the block so we can get that money out, correct?
Yeah, that's it. So, and unfortunately, one of those is his address, which has changed. So I need to get hold of Ed tomorrow and talk to him and make sure I can get that submitted. But they said, PayPal said they categorically did not remove it until they had that information. So at least I got a line drawn in the sand from them, so I know what to look at.
Yeah, John, I think Ed's moved to Houston from Austin.
Yeah, I think that might be easy. So I have some information people sent me yesterday. I'll try to reach out to them anyway. The other thing I had is if you want an interest-bearing account, then you should look into probably something like Capital One to move the accounts to.
Say again, John, please.
Move it to a bank like Capital One, something like that. Or a financial institute like Capital One, Discover, there's funds of the PNC, somewhere where they have online accounts that carry the high interest rates. Because their overheads are lower, so
Thank you.
Yeah.
We can look into Capital One.
Okay.
I mean, you can put it in a money market fund and get 4-point-something%, but then you don't have the Fed insurance of the $250,000 like a bank does. So there's a slight risk to it, but there's more interest.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else on this slide here, Robert? Or?
That's all I have.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
The next topic is since we didn't have a board meeting after the election, I thought to repeat the same slide that we showed at the community call last month. This is following the symposium, the results. In early March. You can see here the new people that came on board, the bold names. So we have pretty much the full board now. Greg organized the orientation session at the end of March, which those sessions I think are extremely useful, especially for newcomers. I'm not sure how many people here were able to attend, but there is a lot of resources, a lot of information in that Greg shares out. People can go online and find out, documentation, templates, etc. The roles, what they're supposed to do is extremely useful. Now, on that same note, if you remember a couple of years ago, when we coming out of the V2 initiative, we had assigned mentors to the new officers, the more junior officers, and I think that was a good idea, and maybe we need to do the same thing now. Some of the more senior officers or the board members to monitor and advise the younger officers, make sure that everybody is clear what the expectations are, what the jobs, what they're supposed to be doing, etc. We want to be as efficient as we can. I mean, everybody's busy, but we don't want people to have their role, for example, and not participate, not contribute. That's something we need to monitor against. I'm not sure how centrally coordinated this needs to be, or maybe I can come up with a list and assign people to board members or senior officers, if that's okay with everybody. That's all I have really on this slide. Any thoughts, comments, suggestions here?
Yeah, Demetrius, I'll reach out to deep to make sure that I'm helping him and
transition. Yeah.
So I'll send him a note. Yeah.
Okay.
Dimitrios,
yeah.
I like your idea. I'm new at least to the director, so it'll be great to know what's expected and have some kind of guidance. So appreciate
I was counting on you to being more senior, Sasi.
Ah, okay. Sure, I can mentor too and be a mentee.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you, Sasi. Okay, so let's move on to the activity updates. I realize that this is the agenda that it's not the final version. In any case, there are 3 updates today. There is the DWIS, there is VNV, and Drillbotics. So let's start with the DWIS. I don't have an updated slide. This is the same slide that we used last time that Eric has prepared. It shows the big picture of what we're trying to do. I think we can discuss more than go through a slide about the latest. And maybe, Eric, you can give us an update of the current status or the progress with the ADCS vendors, etc.
Yes, so I can say that so far, so we have indications that we have 3 ADCS vendors who intend to participate to the demonstration. So we have NOV with Novos, HMH with Dale, and Between. And the nice thing actually with those 3 different ADCS is that their level of interfaces are quite different. And therefore we can have from a very structured API on one hand to a low-level interface on the other hand for showing actually that the Davis infrastructure can adapt to very different philosophies for the DCS communication. For the advisor who want to participate to the demonstration, so far we have Halliburton, Aker BP, Baker Hughes, Secal, and possibly Petrobras who has said that they are willing to provide advisors. So we are actively working with Halliburton, Aker BP on one side, and with Baker Hughes. Yeah, those weeks actually on trying to put together the communication. So for the advisors, basically there is only one single entry point, which is a communication with the DDAB, which is based on using this semantic, and where actually the access is done with OPC UA. So there are good progress on both fronts. When it comes to the ADCS vendors, to go back to that, so I still need to finalize some financing to support the development of the bridges. I hope to get some answers from a certain number of oil companies in Norway who can be potentially financing this by the end of the month. And then I need to finalize some kind of contracts with the 3 ADCS vendors. When it comes to Halliburton and to Baker Hughes, so we have finalized the confidentiality agreement for working together with them. So, and then the Davis community is developing the green boxes on the infrastructure, and we are progressing. So it goes at a pace, but there is still a lot of work to do before we are ready for well, that would not be September, but the October demonstration. So, Any questions?
I have a comment, Eric, not a question, a comment. Yesterday, we had the VNV meeting, different activity with Rodica. And one of the we had 3 presentations, and I don't want to steal, the thunder of Rodiga, but I think there is a comment that is very relevant with the discussion here. One of the presenters, Brian Atchison, with Safe Influx, they are developing an automated well control system, and they had the option either to go through the ADCS system or to go directly to the rig control system. And forget for a second the technical aspects of it, the communication, the protocols, but the provider, they pushed very hard the vendor, the rig control system vendor, to give them access directly to the rig control system, not through the ADCS. And I was a bit surprised with that. And the reasoning was that the footprint of the Amphion system specifically is much bigger than the footprint of the Novos system. Mm-hmm. So the way Brian put it is that if we went through the Novos system, we would limit ourselves to a very small number of rigs. And therefore, mm-hmm. we worked with an OV to give us access directly into the Amphion system. It's a valid point. And I was surprised, to be honest, that that's the case, because that avoids, basically, not avoids, but moves is away from standardization. It's begging really for custom solutions, custom developments. Different version for the Amphion, different version for the next rig control system, different. Going from rig to rig, it's going to be a very different setup. And one thought that crossed my mind during that was, if the applications, for example, in this case, the well control application, or others, ROP optimization, etc., if those will make the case for the broader acceptance of ADCS systems. In other words, if there are 10 applications out there that the operator is interested in, maybe that will help increase the footprint of systems like Novos and match the footprint of Amphion systems. If you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic, I thought, that between what the OEMs have deployed and what service companies with the advisors and the applications are deploying, and who helps who, for the deployment. Anyway, just a side comment. Rodica will tell us more.
But if I may comment, I think it goes back to some philosophy discussion we had on Davis, which was at the start, whether we should have a kind of minimum number of functions that we support, which are very well defined, but limited.
Yeah.
Or whether we have a more complex architecture as the one that we have developed, where actually we allow for the description of the functions which are available by the ADCS, and that there is a discovery mechanism, and there is a capability description. And I think that what you just explained is basically the difference between those two philosophies, because if you have a minimum set of API, you may not allow for all the possibilities in a way. So you take a kind of a minimum of something, the common denominator of everything. Well, if you take the philosophy where you can adapt yourself actually to many different situations, you broaden the possibilities for the implementation.
How it can be deployed, absolutely. Okay, any questions or thoughts, comments for Eric on the DWIS progress?
I wonder if it's time for DWIS to start to think about an implementation plan, because that might address some of these issues, like your comment about Brian bringing up, and have some thoughts and some kind of roadmap to implementation, so people can see how it would work, or what hurdles need to be crossed, such as, ADCS becomes common. Boom.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Is it likely to happen? Is it not likely to happen? Would DWIS accelerate the adoption of ADCS? Yes or no? I think building a sort of roadmap so people have an understanding of how this could go into implementation would be worthwhile.
Yeah.
The other point here is, of course, that the ADCS also has functions, right? So safe influx, this function fits quite nicely within the ADCS because of what they do. So regardless of us bringing out an interface into the ADCS itself brings along functions or advisors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, John, that, Brian's point is that every NOV rig has Amphion or equivalent.
I understand that, but there's also a speed of response that he needs as well. And it's going to be the same if you're doing, say, stuck right detection or prediction. You want that fast response. You're going to have some piece of what you're doing inside the ADC, I think.
Yeah. Interesting point, but I think the point of the implementation is I think it's an important point, John. We need to.
So if I may comment on that, so we have Aker BP who has indicated that they are willing to be a test for the type of technology in some future. So it's not completely firmed, and we are trying to see in Norway if we can establish a project with funding from the Norwegian authorities for a testing, maybe either on Ulrig first, just for our test rig, and possibly offshore with Aker BP. But this is still premature, actually, and to say more about that. But we hope that we can have enough financing to do such a things, and of course that will depend on the success of the demonstration that we plan to have at the end of the year. But we start to put in place actually the next step, which is how to test that on a real rig.
Actual rig, yeah. Eric, another possibility, maybe Odfell as a contractor, to bring.
Yeah, but if you get Aker BP, you're going to get Maersk and Odfell. So
yes,
they're
right.
alliance partners. So those are the rigs. So, and I think Aker BP is a really forward-thinking company. So Arnfinn Grute is pretty incredible in what he's been pushing forward. So I think that's a good partnership for sure.
Yeah, very good. Okay, thank you, Eric. No more questions. I think we can move on. Drillbotics. I think we have Sasi here. I'm not sure Fred is here, but yeah, Sasi, do you mind walk us through here?
Yeah, sure. So I think where we are today is we finished the phase 1 judging that happened back in Feb. We communicated to all the teams. I think we basically told everyone that you're all moving to phase 2. Gave them a list of feedback from the judges. Didn't get a lot of feedback from the judges. There were, I think, probably 2 or 3 judges that we collected the feedback from and sent it over to the teams. What we are working on now, and Enrique has been helping a lot, is finalizing our phase 2 date. Looks like we're going to target end of June based on the team's availability. Right, Enrique? I think end of June is the latest, right?
Yeah, so far everyone has chosen the end of June. Yeah.
Yes. So I think we'll do one last communication to the student teams and then finalize, likely be the Thursday or Friday or the last towards the end of the week in end of June. So June 26 to 28 is kind of the target date we are shooting for. I know John McPherson, he followed up with the DOE contact to see whether they've made any decision or any additional interest from them. We haven't heard back. John, I don't think you've heard back either, right? She hasn't responded to your email.
No, she went ahead and got a promotion, so I have to get anything back from her. They'll stop promoting to.
So still waiting to hear back on the DOE's geothermal team, whether they're interested in participating and how they want to participate. That's the update.
Hey, Sashi, while you're on, I have a question for you. Clausthal have indicated they wanted to host the demo at Clausthal in Germany. Do you know where it will be held? The physical demo?
It'll be virtual, John, because right now neither team wants to travel to the other location. So we tried. The local SP chapter was pretty enthusiastic and active about holding it there, but the other team didn't want to travel, so we said we'll just do it virtual.
That's okay. If we engage the local SP section for each of the universities, if they can help the students set up maybe with their finances, with their spending, etc. No.
Yeah, I think we'll continue that engagement with the local SP chapter, right? It gives us good visibility, good advertising, and they can definitely get folks locally to come visit University of Clausthal, right?
Okay.
Okay.
It's always good to get them in the same room, though. Anyway, so
yeah. We tried,
but if they don't want to travel, hey, set it up in Iceland somewhere that they would travel to.
I mean, given the constraints we have with the donations and the funding, I don't think we could support another 10-15K expense next year, so
it was always, the travel was always there. They had to fund that.
Yeah.
So the funding issue, and I'm cognizant of Fred's alarm bells ringing, or him ringing the alarm bells, I should say, about funding Drillbotics going forward. So I have a question, Sashi. What is the annual budget of Drillbotics? How much does it cost to run the program typically?
Rough estimate, John, it's on the order of 10 to 15K. Maybe at the higher number, we'll get closer to 20 if we have two. Like this year, we had 2 teams fly, and that costed us, I think, close to 17K, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot.
Oh, I thought it would be more. Okay. But so the alarm bells from Fred are that the funding just isn't coming in to match, say, 20K a year.
Correct.
Let me go back to the financials.
If you go back to the financials, you'll see it there.
But this
we'll run out of money this year, basically.
We have 21K right now in the account, John, here, this number. And from this, we have to pay 9,600 out to the reimburse the students and the travel expenses, etc., and 6 to David Gibson, 6.5 to David Gibson to finish the documentary. So that right there is 16K between this and this, which leaves 5. And even if we bring the other 5 from the PayPal, we are 10K going forward.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So the 6.5K for the documentary, did David Gibson raise that and put it into the Drillbotics account, or is this additional to the funds he raised?
It's part of what he raised, and this is the second installment. I think.
Okay, so the 21,000 has funding that he raised for the documentary.
Yes.
And then the rest is what the team has raised. I'm just wondering if it's maybe time for DSATS to pull a few officers and board members together and come up with a funding plan. Because I would think if you put together a good plan and a good communication document and went to senior guys and said, we want 3,000 or 5,000 per year for the next 5 years, and we'll draw each year based upon having at least so many teams the previous years to confirm it's still going, I think you could get a stable funding for this.
Did I hear John volunteering to lead this effort?
No, I'm not. No, I'm going to pull back and respond that I've done a lot as program chair and then helping David Curry raise cash at the sponsorships. I mean, half the money in the account came from stuff that I'd raised through the various symposiums. So I think I've done a hell of a lot already. So, but I think it's a good task for current officers and board, just a few people to make a plan and go, you know, you go ask the CEO of a major drilling contractor, he'd probably say yes.
There is no doubt, John, that what you have done for the DSATS. The question is, who has the access to these people? That's really the challenge.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know I do, but other people, you can go ask people you don't know if you address it properly. Yes, if you know them, it helps a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I would go to Paul Goodfellow in Shell, who's an executive VP. He could just say yes without batting an eyelid, and then you get a Shell and find somebody senior in BP and get those kind of companies. I think Fred was saying that, or pointing out that the operators are not really coming to play.
Yeah. But I totally agree with you that we need to do something though, because we cannot keep begging and get nothing.
Yeah, I mean, asking for small amounts is a struggle, but having a plan, it's a worthwhile endeavor. That having a communication plan and going and asking top guys who pay. I mean, you look at Patterson. Andy Hendricks is paying all sorts of stuff. They're sponsoring this and sponsoring that.
Yeah.
You know, he's a large drilling contractor with a lot of activity. And those guys, yeah, I think they would say yes if they knew about it and if they could visibly see the value of being involved, which is there.
Okay. Not taken, John.
Just one more thing on this, Mark, here. A while ago, it was going to be not taken over, but it was going to be sponsored at the SPE level. And SPE promised that they would have the funding for it. And that dried up with COVID. But that's something else that maybe you can pursue, because I think it'd be better to go in and talk to a good fellow from SPE, not just some technical section.
Yeah, that was a lot of work to try and get what's his name, the CEO of SPE. We had to negotiate with him. Jeff Moss was involved, Fred was involved, I was involved, and he pushed back a lot. And finally he said yes, and then turned around and dumped it. And I think Fred would never go back there because of being burnt last time.
So when you think this is Calvin, I think to me all options are open, right?
Yeah.
So if you need to go check with SPE to see if this is something that is still on their radar, it's worth checking.
We might as well, Sasi, and all doors are open, like you say.
Exactly.
I think Calvin had a comment. Calvin, go ahead.
I think it's a good idea. I'm happy to be part of the team. I can use some of my network to access some of these folks. Once we've got a plan, I think the documentary is a big part of it, the marketing. I think John needs to be a part of it. Doesn't need to be a doer, but strategically, I think John needs to do it. So I'll pony up some time for this, as long as John's going to be, let's say, the subcommittee advisor. He always is anyway. John can't resist. So.
I'll be an advisor, but yeah, I put a lot into getting money already for the symposiums, and that's been a lot of work and tapping a lot of connections. But to advise and assist, yeah, okay. If people are
it's the tactics, John. You know where all like the barriers and the roadblocks, and we don't have time to go run down something we know is going to be a pain in the ass. let's go to where we think's the best chance of success. And then if it doesn't, okay, then we got plan B and C. But I think going to the top is the best way to go, because it's not like SPE's not going to go to the top to try to do the same thing.
Yeah. And I think you have to ask for big money and big commitment, because these people can say yes to that. Doing it with a 500 here and a 500 there is really hard work.
Yeah, I would also offer, though, that if we're asking for big money, there's going to need to be some sort of committed resource, and it can't be just Fred. I think it's got to be, if DSATS wants to own this, then be prepared for some organizational commitment to it. Because for big money, these folks are going to be expecting sort of a grander scheme than it is now. At least I am. So.
Yeah, and I think Mark Anderson has a good point. If you're going to Goodfellow, if it comes with an SPE stamp on it, it would be a lot better sell. And so it is probably worthwhile going to the new president or whatever he is of SPE and having a discussion with him to see if he at least endorses it and would at least say, yes, this is an officially endorsed program of SPE, whether he's getting involved in the finances or not.
Now that you are saying this, John, you remind me, Robin Macmillan, who is the director of the drilling discipline in SP right now, he's constantly looking for activities to show, what is going on, to pass up to Terry Pallis, who is the current SPE president. So if we come up with something like this, a program that engages students, etc., I'm 100% sure that Robin will support it, and 95% sure that Terry will support it as well, going forward. If Terry,
you've got to get Robin involved. That's a very good point. The other thing is you got to get the CEO. What's his name? The new guy that got hired on, that's in the full-time position. He has to be involved because he's actually running SPE administratively.
Yeah. Okay. Good points. We'll
I
take
think
that.
I'd like to see some more of the officers and board members volunteer like Calvin's done to make a little, a cadre of people that are willing to put a bit of time into scoping this thing out. And I think the documentary will be a good plus as well. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
When is that documentary showing up?
Well, the latest update we got from David was some time ago. We have to push him because it should be ready by now, based on.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll follow up, Kelvin. Fred and I haven't heard from him in a while. I think Fred got a note from him sometime back in January, I think. So we'll follow up.
Okay, very good. Let's move then back to the agenda. Robotics. Rodica, are you still online? You can give us a verbal update from the discussion yesterday and the latest activities.
Yes, I'm still in. I was going to say, because I will have to leave at past. Yes, so the activities in the VMV are going forward. We have our regular meetings. We have also submitted an abstract on the activities in the group to the coming ATC, basically to frame the challenges and the needs for dynamic verification and validation. Just to remind you, the verification and validation group is looking on the interplay and the stability of an interplay in a complex multi-provider drilling automation system. So this is what we are focusing on. As you mentioned, we are very lucky to have 3 presentations during the meeting yesterday on 3 different examples for verification and validation, and challenges and lessons learned. The first one that you mentioned already, Dimitrios. Second one was on measuring on ECD and comparison with sensor data, modeling, and so on, and challenges there, consistency in data. which is also one of the topics that we are addressing in the subcommittee. And the third one was on a very good example on how much efforts are using on integrating a third party advisor into the system. How much effort are used for verification and validation of that setup. So I think this is a very good basis for us to work forward and also to show the value of looking into a dynamic verification and validation in a distributed context.
Good. Make a comment
here.
Here,
short summary.
Rodica. So the second presentation that Rodica mentioned was from an OV that they went into some detail about the uncertainty in the data, in the measurements, and trying to assess the quality of the advice coming out of the advisor, which in this case was the ECD calculator. And the third presentation, the excellent presentation also, was from Ensign. Sam, who is here on this call, gave the presentation about how to integrate a third-party advisor, a single third-party advisor, onto the ADCS system of Ensign. The process, how to do that, in a systematic way, make sure that, the rig software is supporting such integration. It's not going to do something crazy. The advisor is not going to do something crazy. It was very, very, very good presentation and a first step towards what we're trying to do in the demo, if you want, that Eric explained. Ultimately, we want to have several advisors interacting together, but one step at a time. So what Sam showed was a very practical, real-world application of how to bring in one third-party advisor and test it. And little by little, this will expand, of course. So all in all, it was a very interesting session and a lot of questions coming up and a lot of food for thought for going forward for the VNV initiative.
Yes, I agree. We are very lucky to have these discussions. And I think it also sets the pace because we want to focus on is it possible to use this without particular integration of one system into another system, and how can that be done? And it triggered many more discussions, which will continue in the next meetings. Yeah. So, and we are also lucky to have new people from DWIS into the meeting, also bringing up good points and questions. So, yeah.
Maury was supposed to come in and present as well, but he couldn't make it. So there may be one or two more presenters in the next session, or if not, one of the upcoming meetings. So this is going to give us a good flavor of maybe 4 or 5 practitioners, what they do and how they deal with the issues and what is the state of the art, and do a reality check essentially for the work that we're doing in the VNV. We don't want to buy too much. We don't want to be too conservative. We want to be right at the cutting edge of the technology and how to push that edge forward. So if the quality of the upcoming presentations is the same as the ones yesterday, I think we're going to have a lot of good material to process and go by.
Yes, I agree. It was very positive, and we are hoping to get more of the people that we are in dialogue with. Yeah, for now. So yes, thank you.
Any questions for Rodica from anyone?
Just a comment from me. Those were excellent presentations yesterday. I thoroughly enjoyed the discussion as well, and Rodica keeping it within the allotted time was quite a challenge. So I'll definitely attend the next one. It was really good.
It was useful, very useful, yeah. Okay,
perfect,
very good.
John. We are welcoming you.
So let's move to the next final section about the upcoming events. So we had the webinar by Matt Forso Baker on March 15. That was very good session. Now, the next available spot we have for the SPE webinars is not until October, because we get 2 per year. That's far a long way out. We have the option of, we're trying to set up our own webinars, similar to what some of the other sections are doing. Edgar is looking into that. As long as we have, some more clear answers about the technical capabilities of what our platform allows, we'll provide an update. But it would be great if we can have our own schedule, our own speakers, etc., and share some of this information. Some of the presentations, for example, we saw yesterday, they could very well be part of a webinar or be shared as a webinar to a broader section of the community, and that would be useful. Of course, we don't want anything proprietary here. And nothing was disclosed yesterday, proprietary. But this is how we advance, as an industry, by sharing knowledge. Anyway, so that's in terms of webinars. We have also the option of the community calls. It's not as formal as a webinar, but we have half-hour spots there where we can share similar technical updates, papers, presentation, field test results, new technologies, etc. And of course, there is the TCE coming up in September. We don't have yet the exact date picked up, but it's going to be a networking session. It's not going to be a special session, similar to what Austin had organized last year in San Antonio. It's going to be a couple of hours, maybe with a panel. We'll see. The format is not decided yet. Deep is taking over the organization of that event, being the North America chair for program chair. So that's where that is. The details need to be worked out.
Hi, Dimitrios. This is Greg. Just a reminder on that, the deadline to submit the form to request that event, you don't need all the details, just the basic information. The deadline for that is May 1st. So it's coming up quickly. So I need that form submitted. If you need me to resend it, I can.
Sure.
Not sure if you still have it, but that needs to be submitted by May 1st. And then things like speakers and things like that can be worked out later, but I do need to get the request in.
Yes, very good. Thank you for the reminder, Greg. I'll make sure Deep is aware and we'll submit it on time. Any questions or comments from anybody about what's coming up?
Yeah, a couple of comments. One is timing for, say, ATC symposium, this networking session. I think the flag Deep is start early, don't leave it till late.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing was people came out of the symposium in Galveston very positive about it. I think it was very timely, the content, and it was well run, and they're good speakers. But people said, hey, maybe it's time to get some outside industry speakers again. Don't know if Serafima and Eric want to do that in Stavanger, which may be a bit harder than doing it in, say, Galveston next time. I guess it's going to be Galveston next time around. But if people want to go for outside speakers, you need to start now. You need to start a year ahead of time, because you got to find them, then you got to convince them to come talk to non-industry, not their industry. And then you got to schedule with them. So if that's the idea, then start early, really early. On the webinars, DSATS doing their own. The management technical section does them all the time. They're kind of once a month or something, and they seem to be spinning them out very regularly. I think they're using Zoom for it. Maury told me that he and Edgar added an app into the website that does this, so the website can do it. And I think it's time not to discuss it anymore, but to get it launched and get some people. And as you said, the speakers we had yesterday would be fantastic for that. And I think it'd be a great means for DSATS to get a presence around the globe virtually, sharing what's actually happening with people who are implementing.
I haven't followed up the last few weeks with Maury and Edgar. I know Edgar started looking at it.
Well, he's on the call here, he can tell you, but Maury gave me the indication when I chatted with him about it that that it's available. It's there. They sorted it, but.
Okay. I think the point about starting early is an excellent point, John. Yeah. We were discussing to do the same for the symposium, and because of everybody being busy, we kind of missed the opportunity of these external speakers. It worked out well at the end, but that's a lesson that learned, I guess. So we do better next time. If we want people from Tesla or aviation or Google or whatever. Okay, very good. Any other comment? Okay. So then I think that's pretty much it on the hour. This slide hasn't changed. It's the same slide. Like summarizing, the membership trends continue to be in the right direction. Still, participation and engagement, we are struggling, I would say. We have the same people participating in most of the activities. The DWIS work streams, Eric's work streams are the most active, but we have a couple of the other ones that are, the contextual data is working well. The protocols and the architecture, etc. Those are, we have 2-3 people dialing in every time, so we have to do better on that, because at the end of the day, all they complement each other, all this work. We don't want to put all the load on the shoulders of the Norse team. On the student front, the membership of the students is doing well, especially now we have some interest from universities from non-traditional areas, like South America and Africa, etc. And we need to promote that as much as we can, as well as looking at different disciplines, whether that's for geothermal or is AI, operation research. That hasn't changed, and I keep mentioning this, in all the meetings, but I'm not. We have to do something more concrete, I think, to reach out to these people. Another planned action, I guess, similar to the funding for the robotics. Collaboration with other technical sections. The most we have done so far is advertise each other's webinars, really, and that's positive, but it's only it's a small collaboration. We can do better than that. That's an action item, open item. Something that I just remember now, thinking about this, the annual reports are coming up that we owe back to SP. Myself and Robert, we need to prepare this and submit it by June 1st, I believe, or May 1st, maybe May 1st. That's an action item for us. And other than that,
that's June 1st for that one.
June 1st, okay.
June 1st.
That's all really I had for today's. If you want to mark your calendar, the next call is going to be a community call. There is no invitation out yet. It's going to come out a week before. It's going to be on May 9. And tentatively, we had Jonathan Carney agree to give a technical presentation there. I will confirm. I think it's going to be a follow-up, basically, of what he showed yesterday. But it's going to be on the agenda, on the invitation when it comes out. If there is no other comments, if there is any other topic that anybody would like to discuss, maybe we have a few minutes. If not, we can close it here.
I think there's a question from Andre Alonso.
Andre, yeah, go ahead, please.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Hello,
yes.
Hello. Okay.
Yes,
sorry.
I can hear you, Andre.
Regarding May 9th, that will be the last day of OTC.
Oh, maybe we need to move it there. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're going to have OTC from the 6th to the 9th. So if you want to have more people from the community.
That's a good point.
Probably a week after.
Yeah, May 16th then. Thank you, Andre, for pointing it out. Let me correct this right now. Not underlined, like. this. We'll say it's going to be the invitation. It's going to be for the 16th when it comes out. That's a good point. Anything else?
Dimitri, quick one is, do we actually have a task force set up for those events that you mentioned on slide 12, kind of to make it a little bit more accelerated and more effective?
There is yes, until now, Deep was in charge of those. Let me go back to the slide with the officers. So Deep was acting as the moderator, etc., when we had an SP live. But now, since he moved out to a different role,
yeah, the membership chair is defined
the
as the
membership
one
chair, yeah,
moderator. So it's Nasikul would be doing the moderation.
taking over, yeah.
And I think for the ATCE and again for the drilling conference symposiums in the past, I and yourself and John Clegg created a little committee. So a few officers, couple of officers and board members to help have a committee to go through the decision-making process of what to do and how to do it. And then also it helps with raising sponsorship because you've got more than one person looking out for it.
For the networking events and the symposium, yes, we need a committee for sure. And for the symposium, it's half and half the committee between DSATS and the ART. Remember, that one is a joint event. Here for the ATC,
basically we do it. I mean, we started out co-branding it and didn't involve them. Then they were added onto the committee, but I think it's more our responsibility to get it done. It's a bit like SPE organizes the drilling conference and it's co-branded with IADC.
Yes. In terms of picking speakers for the webinars, etc., there is no formal mechanism for doing that. We are right now, the last few, I have been reaching out to people asking for speakers here and there to fill the spots. It would be great if we have a pipeline of candidates, so we don't run the last 2 weeks to find someone. So we know who is available, who is interested, and we reach out to them, with a few weeks, months in advance, and they are ready. They know what is coming up, what they present, etc. Nasikul and I can work together on this, but if anybody else is available to participate, to help, that would be more than welcome.
Yeah, I think that will also be good to screen the quality and the impact, right, as well, because sometimes we run into the last minute and then it becomes more of a pitching presentation and then doesn't really affect the quality.
Yeah,
right?
Of course. Okay, very good. Anything else? Anybody else? Okay, then we close it here. Thank you very much. And we touch base again in a few weeks' time on the 16th for the community call. Have a good day, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Dimitros. Cheers.
Bye.